All right, Shalom. I want to start off, as always, by giving all praises and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Kodash, double honors unto the apostles, the elders, and the bishops of Great Millstone. I want to send much love unto the brothers out there doing this work in truth and sincerity, and also want to send peace and blessings unto the believers of the hopeful elect. And in this morning's lesson, I wanted to play two videos I have here concerning current events that have taken place here in the earth this past week. And I have a video here from Jason A. page, and it's called 2024, The New Global Order. And I also have this video here from Anonymous Official, which reads, Tucker Carlson, please watch these 14 minutes if you want the truth. And these two videos pretty much are covering the buildup to World War III, and also this discussion of the TikTok ban that has been passed by the House. All right. And so I go into these two subjects here in this lesson, and Lord willing, it's edifying. But before I play my first video here, I wanted to read this in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2. All right. In the NLT Bible, and I read verses 1 through 3. And this is a concerning prophecy of the end time, okay, which we are living in. So starting here in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 1, it says, I will climb up to my watchtower and stand at my guard post. There I will wait to see what the Lord Yahweh says and how he will answer my complaint. Then the Lord Yahweh said to me, write my answer plainly on tablets so that a runner can carry the correct message to others. And the runner is talking about the prophets, okay? The prophets of Yahweh Bashim Hawashai, they are carrying the correct message to others, meaning to the believers out there, right? To the hopeful elect. Telling them what does say Yahweh Bashim Hawashai, right? Breaking down these scriptures. It says, this vision is for a future time. So the things that the prophets are telling you here in the last days, man, these are things for the future, okay, which you are living in, right? Because when Habakkuk wrote this, man, there was over 2,000 years ago, right? And he foretold of the times that we are living in, okay? And all we're doing is just breaking down what the prophet said, right? It says, it describes the end and it will be fulfilled. So these scriptures, these prophecies, they describe the end time, all right? And what are some of the end times prophecy? The War of Armageddon, right? The MOTB, Jacob's trouble. Those are signs of the end, okay? And we're definitely living in those times, man. It says, if it seems slow in coming, wait patiently, for it will surely take place. It will not be delayed. So if these prophecy seems like they're, slow in coming, right? As if it's taking this time to happen, it's not, man. The Most High God is working, okay? But these prophecies will definitely take place. They will not be delayed, man. And from the tension that's going on in the earth, from the things that we are seeing, it's evident that these prophecies will surely take place, man. Okay? It's only a matter of time before these things truly hit, man. All right? And things go left in the planet Earth. But we are definitely seeing the buildup to all the end times prophecies being fulfilled, man. Okay? So, first video I'm going to get into here is from Jason A. And this is pretty much concerning World War III, man. Okay? And how Babylon the Great is losing its influence across the world. How these nations are building up, making alliances, man. And it's a beautiful thing to see because we know the Most High God is working. Okay? So here we go.
So that China's relationship with the United States will be one of the defining factors of the 21st century. Relations between the two superpowers have been strained in recent years over a host of issues, including trade, human rights, spying allegations, and Taiwan.
China, Russia, and Iran are holding joint naval exercises this week near the Gulf of Oman.
Well, during much of the Cold War, Soviet Russia and Communist China were at odds, but especially since the start of the Ukraine war, the two authoritarian neighbors have been forging deeper ties and now appear to be positioning themselves as geopolitical counterweights to the US.
As the title of our discussion implies, today's global order is not working for everyone. In fact, I would go further and say it's not working for anyone.
So vital is China to Moscow now that the President Vladimir Putin has described Beijing and Russia's relationship as being without borders.
Китая непосредственно. Мы готовы кооперироваться во всех областях. У нас нет никаких...
As for China itself, we are ready to cooperate in all areas. We don't have any restrictions. This also applies to military technology. As we think about the future world order, about ensuring our security.
The Philippines has accused China of stirring up trouble in the South China Sea. That's after Chinese vessels fired a water cannon at one Philippine ship and collided with another.
Real quick, man, with the alliances, that's being built by China and Russia, man, that's not good for Babylon the Great, okay? Because the closer that they get together, man, the more that, their ties will get stronger. And America has tension with both Russia and China, okay, with the situation in Ukraine with Russia and then the situation with Taiwan with China, man. All they're doing is forcing them to get stronger and stronger. And when all hell breaks loose, right, when war goes down, they gonna get Babylon, man. And that's the plan of the Most High. Okay, the plan of the Most High is for these nations to turn against Babylon and shoot their missiles on this place, man. Okay, America is literally forcing these nations to pretty much make alliances, man. But in the mind of America, right, in the mind of NATO, they can't be touched, right? As it says here, real quick in Revelation 13, about how it says, who shall make war with the beast, right? They feel untouchable. Real quick. This Revelation chapter 13. In verse 4, it says, and they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. Now, what's the dragon talking about? The dragon is talking about the Roman Empire, okay? This is where the beast, right, NATO, and the EU gets its power from, right? It says, and they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him, right? Because the NATO alliance, right, and the EU, that's a strong economic and military alliance, man, headed by America, okay? So for a long time, right, it seems as if no one could come against them, man, against NATO, right, against America. But now we see a whole different energy in the earth, man. These nations don't give a damn anymore, right? They like, let's go, okay? Why? Because they're making these alliances, man, being backed by Russia, right, by China, by Iran. And they're bold, okay? They're getting very bold. And these Americans, all right, who are in the know, right? These different politicians, right? These guys know what's going on, man. They see their enemies are getting strong and getting more bolder, okay, in which in this video that's going to come out, right? So here we go.
In some of the world's most contested waters.
Chinese ships were trying to block a supply mission to the second Thomas Shoal, a reef occupied by the Philippines that China claims as its own, along with most of the South China Sea.
The Chinese Coast Guard conducted provocative, unilateral, illegal, and unprofessional acts that is conduct unbecoming of a Coast Guard officer.
China's Coast Guard fleet is now the largest in the world, and analysts say altercations like this show it's taking on a more aggressive role in pursuing Beijing's maritime interests. It recently ramped up patrols around the Taiwanese islands of Jinmen. territory within eyeshot of the Chinese mainland, which Beijing views as its own. But all that stoking fears maritime spats could spiral into great power conflict involving the United States. The US is Taiwan's most important ally and arms provider, and Manila has a mutual defense treaty with Washington.
With no path to de-escalation in sight, some of the world's most contested waters may see more tension and more potential for miscalculation in the weeks and months to come.
Let's focus on Russia. President Vladimir Putin says Moscow ready for nuclear war if threatened.
Look at that. Russia is ready for nuclear war if threatened. This is what Putin is saying to the West, man. Okay? Can't you see what's going on? Can't you see the prophecies of Yahweh Ba'ashim Hawashai manifesting themselves? If you can't see it, I don't know what to tell you, man. But this is real, okay? Like, this is actually happening, all right? Putin actually said this to America, right? To NATO. They're ready to nuke you guys, man. And we know that Russia has more nuclear missiles than Babylon the Great, right? Has more nuclear missiles than anybody. And Putin is constantly building up his military, constantly working on more missiles, right? These hypersonic missiles that can hit Babylon less than what? 10, 20 minutes? And they're even getting, quicker than that, man. Those missiles can get over here quick, okay? In a matter of minutes, man. So this is beautiful, bro. Like, the Most High is working, bro. Like, this is amazing, okay? Eventually, Russia will use those missiles, man. This is what the Bible tells us, okay? This is what the world can understand or see, that, look, the Most High God is going to use those ICBM missiles, man. He's going to take it there, okay? So here we go.
Putin's latest warning to the West as some NATO nations like France and Poland refuse to rule out sending troops to Ukraine.
2024 annual.
Right. And if they do send troops, right? If NATO send troops to Ukraine and Russia, right? If Russia kill any of those NATO troops in Ukraine, you can pretty much, get ready for World War III to kick off. Okay? If they kill any NATO troops, then all NATO, nations and alliances got to get involved, man. And it's going to happen, okay? But the MOTB got to come first, right? Jacob's trouble got to come. Those things have to take place. But eventually, okay, they're going to clash with Russia, man, head on, all right? And it's going to call all hells to break loose in the planet Earth, man. Here we go.
Threat assessments of U.S. intelligence is warning the U.S. is facing, quote, an increasingly fragile global order this year. The report also says that, quote, ambitious but anxious China, a confrontational Russia, some regional powers such as Iran, and some more capable non-state actors are challenging long-standing rules of the international system as well as U.S. primacy within it.
Iran in recent years has in fact stepped up its military cooperation with Russia and China as its ties with the United States remain pretty strained.
Against the backdrop of rising armed conflicts in the Red Sea, it is the second time that China has conducted joint drills in the Indian Ocean since the outbreak of Israel-Hamas war. China has warships stationed at a naval base in Djibouti near the Red Sea. It has not officially condemned the Houthi attacks.
The naval forces of the Yemeni armed forces, with the help of Allah the Almighty, carried out a targeting operation against the American ship Pinocchio in the Red Sea with a number of appropriate naval missiles, and the hit was accurate.
The Houthi leader previously pledged that attacks will escalate if what he calls the brutal aggression against Gaza does not stop.
I mean, it underscores the fact that the United States
is facing global security challenges on a scale we certainly haven't seen since the Cold War, and most likely, since World War II. I mean, just look at the facts of it. Our adversaries are considerably more aggressive. Russia invaded Ukraine with the objective of expanding into NATO and trying to break the NATO alliance, which obviously would mean a major war in Europe. We got Iran, who's operationalized all of their proxies with two stated objectives: to drive the United States out of the Middle East region and to destroy the state of Israel. And they are about that every single day. And we don't even talk about Iran. And then we have China, who's obviously very aggressive, attempting to dominate the Indo-Pacific region, replace the United States as the world's global leader. How do we know that? Because they talk about it all the time. And also, all of these countries are undermining the civil society in the United States. China's conducting aggressive cyber espionage on a regular basis. Russia has huge influence operations that are ongoing as we speak, and Iran is stepping up their game as well. I mean, the United States is clearly under attack here in our homeland and also in all of our interests overseas. And where was a discussion of this in the State of the Union?
The House has voted to pass.
Right. America's enemies, okay, they are getting bolder and bolder. They're making all these alliances, right? And they're not giving a damn anymore, okay? Babylon the Great, her influence, right? Her power is being challenged, and these nations don't give a damn, man. And it's going to force all of these nations to pretty much go to war. That's what it's going to lead to, man. Everything you see in the news is going to lead to the war of Armageddon, man. Okay? Now, that's all I'm going to play here in this video. You can watch the rest of it if you want. Before I play this video here, I'm going to read this precept in Amos, and I'll get ready to close out. This is Amos chapter 8, verse 11 in the GNT Bible, right? It says, "The time is coming when I will send famine on the land. People will be hungry, but not for bread. They will be thirsty, but not for water. They will hunger and thirst for a message from Yahweh." Okay? This is where we're headed, man. Hearing the words of Yahweh Bashim Hawashai, that's about to be cut out the earth. Okay? And not so much of just hearing it, through a video, but the understanding. Okay? That's what's really going to happen, man. It says, "I, the sovereign Lord Yahweh, have spoken. People will wander from the Dead Sea to the Mediterranean, and then on around from the north to the east. They will look everywhere for a message from the Lord Yahweh, but they will not find it." Okay? It's going to be hard to find it, man, because they're going to shut down, all of these apps and these different platforms that so-called allowing truth to be spoken there, right? But it's really going to be the understanding of the word. It says, "On that day, even healthy young men and women will collapse from thirst." It says, "Those who swear by the idols of Samaria, who say by the God of Dan or by the God of Bathsheba, those people will fall and not rise again." So now I want to transition to this video here concerning TikTok, okay? In which I'm sure your brothers and sisters out there have seen the news. All right, and Tucker Carlson pretty much going to make a point here to where he's going to show you that banning TikTok pretty much is not about getting China, out of the country, so to speak, right? As the House was trying to, make their point. It's not about that, man. They really want to get rid of TikTok because a lot of truth is coming out on TikTok, okay? A lot of truth, man. And they want to stop that, okay? Next, they might, take down X, formerly known as Twitter, and so on and so forth, trying to clean up, disinformation, as they say, right? If you can recall, at the WEF meeting, right, they said the biggest problem they have is misinformation and disinformation, right? They openly said this, man. And they want to control the narrative, right? So platform like TikTok and Twitter and any other platform got to go. Okay, so here we go.
The majority of House Republicans, amazingly, just aligned with the Biden administration on one of its top priorities to ban the social media app TikTok. This amounts to the most far-reaching act of censorship in the history of the United States. It's an attack on the right of American citizens to receive their information from any source they choose. Most of us believe that was a fundamental right. But of course, almost no one in Washington will admit that that's happening. That's not at all what's going on, they tell us. No. Instead, they're framing what's very obviously censorship as an act of self-defense against a foreign adversary. And if that sounds familiar, it should be. It's the same rationale they used to spy on Donald Trump, among other things, once they designated him a tool of Russia. And as always, they're doing all of this in the bluntest, least restrained terms, because it's your fault, actually. Quote, voting against the bill is a vote for the Chinese Communist Party, proclaimed neocon Congressman Dan Crenshaw, the Nikki Haley of Texas. Quote, the opponents of this bill aren't defending free speech, they're defending Chinese access to American data and American minds. Not a good look. You're a bad American if you don't agree with me, says Dan Crenshaw. And the rest of the liars said similar things, and maybe some of them believed it. That is possible, given the median IQ in the Congress. But just for a moment, let's consider their argument rationally. Let's just assess it for a moment. The federal government very much wants to protect us and our children from China. That's what they're telling us. Now let's assume for a moment that that's true. And let's further assume that the Chinese government is in fact a greater threat to our happiness and well-being than our own government is. That's a stretch if you think about it. In fact, it's totally unsupported by evidence of any kind. But for the sake of argument, let's just stipulate that that is in fact true. So if you were in charge, how would you go about protecting the United States from China? Let's see. The first thing you would do is prevent the CCP from buying American farmland and controlling our food supply. That way, the Chinese government, the government they claim is our greatest enemy, would not have the power to starve our population to death. That would be key. You get right on that. Of course, you'd also want to make sure that the CCP had zero control over our water, or energy, or communications infrastructure, basic, elemental things you couldn't live without. You wouldn't want the Chinese anywhere near those things. You would not allow it. Those would be the first priorities on your list. And then you would make certain that the Chinese didn't control your economy. You would not, for example, export your entire industrial base to China, simultaneously making them rich and you poor. You would not do that. Nor would you allow them to hold a meaningful portion of your debt. That would be reckless as hell. You wouldn't allow the Communist Party of China to send billions to your most prestigious universities, thereby gaining control of the minds of the next generation of your leaders. And needless to say, you would not allow Chinese citizens by the tens of thousands to invade your country over your southern border. That would be insane. You would furthermore keep Chinese citizens out of medical, scientific, and R&D facilities. You definitely would not fund their biolabs or cover up for them when they unleash killer viruses on the world. No, you wouldn't. Why would you do that? And then on questions of foreign policy, you would not spend a ton of time worrying about Taiwan. It's far away, and honestly, who cares? No. Because you don't have all the money in the world or all the time in the world, you would narrow down your priorities, and you would spend your energy and military might on your own hemisphere, where you and your population actually live. The people you want to protect, they live in the Western Hemisphere. So you would not allow the Chinese government to colonize pretty much every country in the Americas, including Canada and Mexico. No! And you certainly wouldn't let the Chinese, of all people, build the infrastructure in places that you directly control, like the supposedly American Virgin Islands, where the roads are paid for by China. That would be crazy and humiliating and very easy to stop. You wouldn't have to put up with that, so you wouldn't put up with it. Not for a second. And just to make sure that China understood you're doing all you could to protect your own people, because that was really your goal, because being Dan Crenshaw, you really care about your own people and your own country. Because of that, you would immediately shoot down any spy balloon from China that floated over Montana. Obviously, that's some of what you would do. And yet, somehow, the U.S. government, even Dan Crenshaw, who really cares about your children, protecting them from China, has done none of that, and has no plans to do any of that ever. So China still makes our antibiotics and our vitamins. But what Dan Crenshaw is doing is banning a social media app. And probably not the first social media app Dan Crenshaw will call for banning, or the Biden administration, with the help of Republican leaders, will try to ban.
Right. So you can clearly see that it's not about getting rid of China and China access to Babylon the Great and so on and so forth, all the BS that you're talking about. There's a really deeper meaning to it, a hidden agenda, man. All right, and that's to stop truth from going out. Okay, a lot of folly is on TikTok. Okay, a lot of folly on there, but a lot of truth is coming out as well. Okay, a lot of truth that they want to stop from coming out. So if TikTok truly get bans, all right, from Babylon the Great, and you don't have access to it, on your phone, what else is going to go out there of, man? What other social media platform will they attack to stop truth from coming out? Okay, so with that, we're going to close out, man. Lord willing, it was edifying here. Just want to bring out those 2 videos and share the information. All praise Yahweh by Shem Shai by Shem Chakadash. Shalom.